Black Ops 6 Nuketown just dropped and everybody's sweating, so I got you the top 5 meta loadouts that you should be using right now. With the first SMG being the TANTO .22, I really like this one because it's like a pocket AR in the body of an SMG, and you guys are gonna see we got a lot of damage range. We got basically no recoil. I missed all those shots, but when you use it for yourself, you'll see this thing is super easy to use. The overall perk layout, don't look at that. It really just depends on whatever you're doing. Although this class is going to be a gunfighter one, I will give you a 5 attachment variation. Most of the builds in this video are going to be the 5 attachment ones. I really don't think you ever need 8 attachments on the SMG unless you're using this TANTO. So this gun is very bouncy. We're going to be adding the compensator. Whenever you need to add a lot of recoil control to your gun, add the compensator. This is going to be definitely the best muzzle. Although if you want to be off the radar, the suppressor is another great option. This build really doesn't have any recoil, so you can do whichever one you want. For me, I want to be able to use it like an AR across the map, so I got the compensator. Next up, for the barrel, since the damage range is already pretty good, I'm just going to be increasing the overall hit registration by adding the gain twist barrel. It's going to make it feel like you're on a better ping, since now the bow velocity is going to be 730 meters per second, which for a submachine gun is very good. The reinforced barrel is also another good option, but if we look at all the damage increase that we are getting, it's only increasing the damage range by like 1 meter. I really don't think it's worth it. I think having that more bow velocity is way more impactful for your weapon. Next up, because there really isn't that much recoil, we are going to be adding the Ranger foregrip. This is a great underbarrel if you want to move around faster while also getting recoil control. If I was trying to make this thing have literally 0 recoil and I don't really care about the movement speed, I would be adding the vertical foregrip. In this case, we just need the Ranger. We can sprint around a little bit faster and look at more so your sprinty movement speed rather than your movement speed, because your movement speed is just like the speed of which you're walking. Nobody really walks unless you're a burger on the game. Next up, we are going to be adding the extended mag. You could take this off. You don't really need it because the fire rate is a little bit slower, but I'm assuming a lot of you guys are going to be on Nuketown. You're going to need the extra ammo, so you might even need to add the extended mag too, despite there being a whole lot of cons. Next up, we are going to be using the quick draw grip. The reason I'm going to be rocking this one is because the ADS speed on this thing is pretty slow. Like if I were to add the ergonomic, which a lot of people like the ergonomic because it's going to increase our slide to fire speed, the dive to fire speed, as well as the ADS speed. But if we go over here and look at the actual stats, our ADS speed is going to be 165 milliseconds and the sprint to fire speed is going to be 120. You're not going to be able to fire the gun until you're fully ADS'd unless you go into hip firing, so your true sprint to fire is 165 milliseconds. If we add the quick draw grip, that's going to bring it down to 135, bringing it closer to the sprint to fire, and so now your true sprint to fire will be 135, and so this basically just allows you to play a little bit more aggressive. Next up, we are going to be using the nose stock. Another good attachment is going to be the balance stock. The reason I'm running the nose stock is just so I can strafe a little bit quicker. Being able to strafe very quick in the gunfight is going to make yourself a harder target to hit, and it gives you rotational aim assist, making it just so you have more aim assist, so then it's easier to use. And then if we look at the stats that this thing is going to be giving us, the stats are a little bit weird. You got to like deselect it and then go back in if you want to see the percentage values. We just get a lot of movement speed, so we're just going to be able to walk around a little bit faster. Not too sure why there says there's cons. You're not going to feel the cons, and it doesn't say anything there, so that's a little bit weird. Another very good one is going to be the balance stock, because we get the aim walking speed, the movement speed, hip fire, and the strafing movement speed. Totally up to you guys. You can rock whichever one you want. For me, I usually like the no stock, but I still run the balance stock all the time, and so usually I think actually most of you guys are gonna like the balance. Now for the mods, we do have the rapid fire. This is gonna increase that rate of fire by about 12%. We are losing a little bit of our bow velocity and our recoil control, but that's why we had that muzzle, the underbarrel, and the barrel on there to mitigate those cons, and so now we can kill the enemies about 12% faster. Super beneficial because the fire rate on this thing is pretty slow, and you're still going to be able to use it like an AR. It really doesn't help. I mean, it doesn't hurt the recoil control whatsoever. This is going to be my favorite 8 attachment TANTO .22. Now if you want to run this in the 5 attachments, honestly I'd probably take off the rapid fire, and then you could take off the muzzle, and then you could do perfectly fine with this. The muzzle's on there just to mitigate the cons of that rapid fire, and there's a couple other variations of the build, but that's going to wrap it up for the TANTO. The next one now we are going to be going over, this is the PP919. I absolutely love this gun. It allows you to play very aggressive while not really having to worry about ammo, and this thing is just very fun to use on Nuketown. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing gets heavily nerfed soon, and my accuracy right now is horrible. Trying to show off the build that I don't miss, and it's just so embarrassing. I'm just showing you guys that I don't hack, you know. I'm just showing you that I'm real. So for the muzzle, we do got the suppressor. You don't really need any recoil control like the TANTO a little bit. This gun, you shouldn't really be using it at long range, and so the suppressor is just going to make it so you can streak up a little bit longer. Although if you don't find value from on that, feel free to use the compensator, allowing you to use it easily at long range, or you can maybe add a magazine or an optic of your choice. For me, I prefer that suppressor to tie it in with the reinforced barrel. This can increase that damage range and the bolt velocity. This is going to be a little bit hypocritical because if we take off the reinforced barrel and we look at the damage range of the gun right now, it's going to be 14.3 meters. We add the reinforced, it's going to be 17.1, so we get less than a 3-meter increase. But on Nuketown, that 3-meter increase was a little bit noticeable, and I like how we're getting bolt velocity. I could add the gain twist and we'll get a way more bolt velocity, but I felt like on Nuketown I didn't need that much, and I would just be better with the reinforced, even though it doesn't give us that much damage range. It just seems to work very good on this gun, but not all the guns, just this one in particular. Next up for the rear grip, we got the quick draw grip, just to increase the ADS speed to 175 milliseconds. Our sprinted fire is 160. Just to show you guys again, if we have the ergonomic, which yes, our slided fire speed is going to be fast, but you're not going to be able to, you know, take advantage of that slided fire unless you slide into a hip fire, because the ADS speed is 200 milliseconds. I know some of you are completely lost, but hopefully you guys understand. Whichever one of these 3 values is the slowest one, or these 2, that's the one that you want to go off of typically, unless you like to go around hip firing. If you like to hip fire, the no stock is going to definitely help you with that, because you're going to be able to hip fire and walk around a little bit faster, again making yourself a harder target to hit. And then we also are going to be able to strafe a little bit quicker, but feel free to run the balance stock if you want that. I just feel like this gun I always hip fire with, I'm always in the enemy's face, so that is actually pretty beneficial. Now for the fire mod, we do have the rapid fire. I wasn't really rocking this on that many guns, but recently I've been really liking the rapid fire. Even though it lowers the bolt velocity, we lose a little bit of our damage range, although I don't really notice. Yeah, we lose about 2 meters, and then we are also losing a little bit of our accuracy, but I feel like just being able to kill the enemies a little bit faster is more beneficial, and it just makes it so if you miss any shot, it's not gonna, you know, hurt you as much. Obviously there is some builds without the rapid fire. You could add the velocity rounds, then go over to the barrel and add the long barrel, so then you get damage range and you get velocity, but you're gonna be killing the enemies a little bit slower unless you're at range. With all that yapping out of the way, here's my favorite PP919 class setup. Again, if you want 8 attachments, you can just literally add an optic to these builds, or you can add a magazine. Completely up to you guys. This next one is going to be the C9. If you guys do find this video helpful so far, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, and if you ever want to watch me play live, make sure you follow the Twitch. It's in the description. Okay, with all that out of the way, you guys can see once you hit Prestige 1 level 44, you are going to unlock this Tommy gun variant. I think it's the Tommy gun. Kind of looks like it. The iron sights look a little bit unique. I really like the C9, one of the fastest killing guns in the game, but a lot of people get the class wrong. You're going to want to use the CHF barrel to increase the headshot multiplier. Yes, we are losing a lot of our recoil control, but that's why we have the compensator on there, so now we can take advantage of the extra headshot damage that we are getting with this barrel. If you guys, so our player health is 100. If you do the headshot damage right here, 34 to 100 divided by 34, that's going to be like 3 point something, so or 2 point something. You guys know what I mean, but it's going to be about a 3-shot kill. So then if you take that off, it's going to be a 4-shot kill. So just mix in some headshots when you're using this, and you'll be able to eliminate the enemies before they even know it. Since it does add a lot of recoil to the weapon, making it pretty difficult to use at medium range, I would add the vertical grip. I tried some other ones, and the vertical grip is definitely the best underbarrel for that recoil control, and it's just gonna, really help you out. If you don't really care about the extra damage and you just want the gun being very, very consistent, I would probably add the gain twist barrel. I don't really think you need to increase the damage range too much, although feel free to add the reinforce if you want more damage range. Now for the magazine, we are going to be using the extended mag too. Yes, there are a lot of cons, but I just like to not really have to worry about reloading. If I'm playing on any medium-sized map, or a lot of time if I just find that I'm not really needing to reload as much, I will use the extended mag. So all this really depends on how the enemies are playing, how you're playing the map, and things like that. Don't just copy the build and only use that build. Sometimes you want this mag, sometimes you want the smaller one. Now lastly, for the C9, we are going to be using the quick draw grip. I went with this one because it lowers the ADS speed to 166 milliseconds, bringing it closer to that sprint to fire speed. Again, with the ergonomic, it's going to be 195. With the CQB grip, which looks really good, it's going to be 230 milliseconds, which is absolutely horrible. And so you're going to be winning a lot more gunfights with the quick draw grip, and a lot of people don't really realize that. And so luckily you guys clicked on this video if you did not know that your ADS speed is insanely important, especially with the SMGs. This next one is going to be the Cast-Off PDW. This is going to be a build that doesn't have too much recoil, but there's going to be a little bit of recoil. I will give you guys a variation of the build if you want to have a little bit less recoil. This is going to be the fastest killing one. It's pretty similar to the C9, where we are going to be using that CHF barrel because when we look at the damage values, it's going to be doing 34 damage to the head with that. Without that, it's going to be a 4-shot kill. Now it's a 3-shot kill. And that's just, I feel like whenever, you know, the damage values make the gun a 3-shot kill with the CHF barrel, it kind of is meant to be, and you should be running it like that. And that's how you can make the weapon feel very special. It's just there's a lot of recoil, so you definitely have to add the compensator. If you want to be off the radar, I just would add probably the gain twist barrel. There's already a decent amount of damage range, so let's use the gain twist, increasing that bolt velocity, making the gun more responsive, makes it feel like you're on that better ping. But for me, I really like that CH. Then I'm going to be tying that in with the Ranger foregrip. There is a decent amount of recoil with this class, but once you're used to it, you can really take advantage of how you can move around way faster. The faster you're sprinting, the farther you can dolphin dive and slide, and since this game is momentum based, that's just going to really help you. And so it just takes a little time to get used to, though. And if you don't really care about that, you just want the recoil control, then I would be using the vertical foregrip to get a lot of horizontal recoil control. You are losing a little bit. Oh, I guess you're not losing any sprint to fire speed. It's just saying that because I'm taking off the Ranger. Next up for the magazine, we are going to be using the extended mag 1, although sometimes I will be running the extended mag 2. If you want, you can run the fast mag. Really personal preference. There isn't like a meta barrel, I mean a meta and ammunition on the gun. Now lastly, for the stock, we are going to be using the no stock, just because I'm always in the enemy's face. You got to be somewhat close quarters, and so this having an increased hip fire movement speed does help a lot. Again though, if I'm trying to use the gun at long range, playing a little bit slower, or I just want to be able to strafe and have more of a balanced build, run the balanced stock. This is just what I really like and what I think you guys will have a very fun time with. Just remember, you can take that off for a different barrel if you can't really hit your shots. Now for the last gun on this list, this is going to be the KOMPAKT 92. Very good SMG. This looks like the Kuda from previous Call of Duties, although there is a lot of recoil, so you got to be in the enemy's face. Make sure you always strafe in the gunfight. When you strafe like this in the gunfight, it seriously makes it a lot easier to hit your shots, and it just makes you a harder target to hit. It's just a little bit wonky at first. So we are going to be using the compensator. Again, you guys can see all the recoil that this thing has. We really need to reduce that. It's like one of the only SMGs that you can't really run a suppressor unless you're just used to the recoil pattern. Then for the barrel, because there really is no damage range, there's no bolt velocity, I was like, okay, let's get a little bit of both. I almost ran the gain twist, but the reinforced barrel is going to be pretty helpful. There are a couple meta builds with, like, you know, the short barrel that I want to show you guys in the future. This one is actually pretty good. You can basically add a suppressor into the gun. I should have had this as the honorable mention. This can increase the bolt velocity. It says it's lowering it, but it says it increases over here and the damage range. And so this one is a pretty good option that you guys can do. And so I'll give you a little, you know, different build as well, but so I don't confuse you, let's stick with this one. Vertical foregrip to get a lot of recoil control. Best underbarrel in the game for that recoil control. If you're using ARs, this one can be better because you get a lot of aiming idle stability, making it so your sights don't sway, and it just makes it actually easier to use your guns at long range. Next up for the magazine, we got the extended mag 3 because the fire rate is so fast, faster than me, and so we gotta, you know, have the extra ammo. Then lastly, we do have the quick draw grip to bring up the ADS, bring down the ADS speed to 185 milliseconds. Without that, it's gonna be 215, making it pretty slow. And so if you guys want to screenshot my favorite compact class, here you guys go. And then the honorable mention is the one with the suppressor. And then I would probably go over here and add the recoil springs. So now you can easily use the weapon at long range, and you guys can, you know, not nearly as much recoil. There still is some recoil, but not nearly as much. And so you guys can mess around. Can't wait to make a video with this gun because it is pretty fun to use. And again, if you guys did find it helpful, this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hope you guys enjoyed the classes. Doses.